The biggest concern going into this season definitely is the play of the defense, but what we've seen through the first week of practice should be very encouraging.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor and publisher of Eagle Insider. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sport stops sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get yourself started. So, I want to focus. It's so easy when you go to practice to focus on the offense because they're the playmakers. They're the ones that do the big things. But I think the biggest question mark going into this season is the defense. And I want to make sure I spend a good amount of time on today's episode, the entire show, in fact, talking about the structure of the defense, who has been stepping up, and a few surprises you may want to know about. So let's jump into this. The defense. What have we seen so far? As practice has gone on, we've been in, they're up to 9 practices now. I have felt the defense has improved from day 1 to day 9. They've looked like the way that they've played has gradually improved in all areas every time they get out there on the practice field. The first start of practice, when they first kicked off summer practices, I watched that running game just kind of gash them at points. And I was like, oh gosh, that's not a good thing to see. But you go from that all the way down to what I saw on Sunday, and Saturday too, where they did situational drills and the defense beat the offense. They did it first team and second team. So they did one on Saturday, a pairing on Saturday and a pairing on Sunday. The defense won 3 out of those 4 battles. That tells you how they're playing. They're playing much better. I'm seeing run stuffs way more often. I'm seeing sacks. I'm seeing pressures. No really wide open wide receivers at any point. There's no like broken coverages or anything like that. They're doing the right things. Now, it's not a complete story yet. On Wednesday, they're going to have a scrimmage, and that's what's going to give me a lot of stuff to talk about for the end of this week. But they're going to have their first scrimmage. I want to see tackling. I want to see how they are in coverage. I believe they're going to have refs there, so we'll be able to see penalties. They haven't really called them during practices, so unless it's been blatant. Sometimes they'll jump off sides and stuff like that. But we haven't really seen that. So it's basically a lot of the same guys that you had last year, a new secondary, and why has this been a change? And I go back to this conversation piece that I want to go over here. It's the culture. The Bill O'Brien culture that he is installing at Boston College is trickling through every aspect of what this team does. And that culture he's bringing is attention to detail. It goes back to he hasn't said the term yet, but it seems to me almost to be reminiscent of what Bill Belichick did with the New England Patriots, with the do your job. All these guys out there, all 85 players on scholarship and all the preferred walk-ons, they look like they know what they're doing. They don't look confused. You have freshmen out there that do not look like freshmen. You have preferred walk-ons out there that do not look like preferred walk-ons, the way that they're playing. They look like they know what they're doing. And if they have moments where it's not getting to the level the coaches are asking them to get to, the coaches make sure that they fix it. And if it's a bigger issue, they address it with the team. And they do it in a way that you expect a football coach to do that kind of stuff. And that kind of culture breeds accountability, higher expectations, and all the things that you need to be successful on a football field. It's a very different feel. And, I can't get into what happened with Jeff Hafley at practice because he never let us out practice, but he was a player's coach. Bill O'Brien is not a player's coach. He is an old school coach. He's worked with Nick Saban, he's worked with Bill Belichick, and it is very clear when he's on the field that that's what he's doing. Now, that's not to say he's, a hard A. He is, but he's developing relationships too in the way that an old school football coach would. You watch him out there, you see maybe Donovan Ezaraku make a great play. He's right over there to tell him, "Hey, great play. You did, that was excellent work there. That's what we're talking about." He's not just a drill sergeant, but that culture he's bringing is going to change the defense. This is why I wanted to bring this up. Defense is all about communication, knowing what you need to do to stop offenses. And so many times last year, we watched the defense look like they were completely lost. I go back to these two games specifically, but there were 4 or 5 games last year where the defense looked like they had no idea what they were doing. Louisville, the two I was going to bring up are Virginia Tech and Miami, but you could also bring up Louisville. You could bring up Georgia Tech. Even though they won that game, they still had big breakdowns in that game. I expect this defense to be different than then, because those times, against a Miami, you might have lost to athletes, but there were times where it just looked like BC's defense was completely lost. I don't think that's going to happen now. I feel like this team is taking accountability and understanding their job on the field, and the defense themselves is going to maximize the talent that you have. I go back to Donovan Ezaraku last year. You can look at his Pro Football Focus scoring and go, great, he was like one of the highest rated players on this team. But when I watch him out there, he's not really doing all the things that you would want an explosive edge rusher to do. Did he remind you of all Harold Landry last year? Didn't for me. But that was what we were expecting him to be. I expect when things aren't working the way that they're supposed to work on this defense, he will have a better season. He will do the things that we expected him to do last year. And that goes for many of the guys on this team. From Neto Ekpala, who I've watched make multiple big plays this year after watching for 2 seasons as he kind of, he would be so close to making a good play. Tim Lewis and his defense, Jeff Commission and Bill O'Brien have worked with him, and clearly it's making an impact. Cam Horsley is going to be, from what Jim Nagy said, a first or second round draft pick. Think about how impactful he will be if that's the way he plays. If he is a legitimate, plug up the middle that stuffs runs and causes matchup nightmares. He's 6'4", 3 something, right? George Rooks, he's another one. Like, good coaching, good development and communication, and doing all the things that you need on defense is going to make Boston College's defense worlds better than it was last year. And that is what I've seen at practice. I have seen it with my own eyes. I don't see guys out of place. I don't see guys yelling at each other because they don't know what they're doing. How many times did you see that last year? I don't see guys making bad reads. I don't see guys making, all over the place. They're doing what they need to. Now, are they going to be perfect? No. Are they going to be great? Probably not. But are they going to be respectful? Are they like a respected defense? Are they going to be someone that you're going, wow, they've taken a step in the right direction? That is what I've seen. That is the stuff that I'm watching going, yeah, this team is going in the right direction on the defensive side of the ball. This is a team that looks like they're ready to surprise some people, because that's the way that they're playing, and that's the way that Bill O'Brien and his staff have coached them up. So I just wanted to passionately tell you all the things that I've seen in the past week, because, BC's has a good offense, and that's helping too. Because when you have a good offense, BC's getting to play against a mobile quarterback. The defense gets to play against a mobile quarterback. Some really good wide receivers, a good running game, a diverse running game. They're in an offensive line that, again, I could do a whole episode on this. It's not getting enough credit that it deserves. So this is all going to harden and sharpen the iron that is the Boston College defense. In a moment, I'm going to tell you 2 players that really we haven't talked about that I think are going to be in for big seasons. I'll explain why in just a moment. Sports. I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. It's my life. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like they want them to. Come on, football, get back here. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel, get your bets in. With those Red Sox, man, I've told you, I'm feeling like just putting a little down on against the Red Sox every day until from here into the end of the season. You're gonna have your Christmas spending money by the end of this by the end of September. So head over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your season with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you for making Locked On Boston College your first listen of the day. And for your second listen, enjoy the Locked On College Football Podcast. Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussion on the upcoming season and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football expanded playoffs, and so much more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, folks, are you an Eagles nester yet? Have you joined our subtext? It's the perfect time to sign up now. For the next couple days, we still have a few spots left for free until the end of the football season signups. I send you videos. I send you text messages. I send you all sorts of notes throughout the day. I'll be sending them more, especially tomorrow during practice. If you want to get some scrimmage notes, I'm going to throw some out your way tomorrow. So get in. The promo code is in the show notes. Sign up today, and there's no obligation. You can cancel at any time. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black here. Now, we've talked a lot about Ezeraku. We've talked about Akpala as well. Now, there's two names that have stood out to me at practice that I want to chat about. And they're younger players that don't get the recognition that we usually give to some of the stars on the Eagles. And those two players are defensive backs, and two that are right now practicing with the ones. And that is sophomore Max Tucker from Catholic Memorial and safety, I almost said Jaden Skeet. That's Max Tucker's teammate. KP Price from St. Francis Academy in Maryland. Now, both of these guys have had strong camps so far. I thought Price had a really good conversation with the media earlier this week where he talked about how he feels so much more instinctual, basically, doing what he needs to do. The communication's there. He knows what he needs to do. He knows what he's supposed to cover. And so he can just go out there and do his job now. And at first I heard it out of context. I was like, oh, is that a shot at Jeff Hafley? But listening to it, it's not. It's not a shot at Hafley at all. It's just he, last year, as a true freshman, was thrown in at safety after Cole Batson went down with an injury. And I think he was learning on the job at points. He's not anymore. He knows what he's doing. He looks good out there. This is going to be your starting strong safety this year. This is what Jeff Hafley brought in. And as I mentioned this in another episode, this is the secondary that Jeff Hafley dreamed about. They have depth. You got Bryquise Brown, Ryan Turner. Those are two transfers you brought in. Cameron Martinez, another transfer, all as your twos right now. They haven't even got hit the ones yet. So you have guys to fill in if you need to. The safety position is a lot of the same. Cole Batson is back. He's with the twos still, though. So that the ability to have some depth there is really nice. But I don't even care about depth. I'm talking talent here. I think KP Price may be the most talented player that they have in their secondary. That includes Amari Jackson. I don't think he's going to be the best this year. You know, it's only his second year, and Jackson was on year 3 or 4 at this point. He has a little bit more go. But I love the way KP Price has looked out there. He's big. He's physical. He knows where he's going. And he comes across as a guy who's going to emerge as a leader. You know, I sense that he gets a lot of respect from his teammates. Talking to him at press conferences, you can sense that he knows what he's doing. And barring some sort of surprise, like, I don't know, Cameron Martinez going back to strong safety and wowing him, he's going to be your starting safety. And he's going to be one that I think will give you some good talent. Now, the other player, Max Tucker, is a bit more of a surprise so far because I almost half expected, I kind of expected Ohio State transfer Ryan Turner to potentially battle for that second cornerback position, but it's been Max Tucker the entire camp so far, and he holds his own, man, uh, at a level that I just did not expect. Like you got to go back and remember how they recruited Max Tucker. He was a last minute signee. He had no other offers. Jeff Halfley, New Catholic Memorial, watched him play, I think, in the state championship game. Loved his play and offered him, and he committed like a week later. He was like almost like an afterthought. And he comes in last year. Elijah Jones gets knocked out. You lose Jalen Cheek, who didn't play consistently, and you had there was someone else that I think that got knocked out, and he gets thrown in. Struggles against Miami, plays a pretty good game against SMU, and it continues. Like the way you should watch how I wish you guys could watch, but I can't even record it because they're very strict about video. So you may see me put a few videos out there, but I can't do much in terms of what you guys can see, but I can tell you about it. He is so physical when they do drills. Like he and Jaden Skeet go back and forth all afternoon, all morning long. Trying to get a jaw at each other, talk trash, and he backs it up. That's the thing. He backs it up, and I've been very impressed with the way he plays. Both of these guys, KP Price and Max Tucker, it would shock me if they both lost their starting jobs. But again, I'm going to have to watch this scrimmage and see how they perform in these situations where it's not just drills. It's not just situational football. It may be, a couple runs it up and down the field and see how he kind of holds up. That's going to be fascinating. I'm really excited, and we'll have full coverage here at Locked On BC. You guys know that. If you're an everydayer, I'm going to talk about the scrimmage. I'm going to give you all the details, all the takeaways, because that's what we do here at Locked On BC. Now, in our final segment, I want to get into a couple names who could jump into the ones who have had big springs so far and have impressed me. I'll explain who those guys are in just a moment. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're in speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black. Thank you all who have listened. And again, get in that Eagles nest. Become part of our subtext program. I hope you check that out. Now, after this episode, thank you for making us your first listen. Check out Locked On ACC by Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs after the show. It's another great listen that talks a lot about Boston College sometimes. You can check that out wherever you get your podcast. Now, I was looking at some of the notes I've written up about practice so far. Who are two names of guys that are not with the ones at this moment who I think could be in for big roles this season? Now, I first of all, I looked at some of the guys in the secondary, and I'm not going to use them because I think a lot of you know that guys like Ryan Turner, Bright Crease Brown, they could easily jump up. And that nickel spot specifically, that's between right now Kari Johnson and Cameron Martinez is anyone's matchup. So that would be one that you could talk about. But there's two players specifically that we don't talk much about that I want to bring up here. Josiah Griffin. If you've heard this podcast, you've heard me mention his name before. I did not know much about him when he committed to BC. I knew he was Joseph Griffin, who's now Wisconsin's younger brother, and Joseph Griffin was one of their highest recruits. So cool. But watching him now, you should see him. He's a big kid. He's big, he's physical, he's athletic. I could easily see Josiah Griffin being defensive end number 3 and a guy that gets spots when they need him in there. He is big, he's fast, he's physical, and he makes plays. I've seen a lot of that this camp. Will he nudge out Neto Ekpala or Donovan Ezaraku? I don't think so. But there's been points where BC has had edge rushers that they've needed to throw out there. I go back to 2021 or 2020 when they had Max Roberts out there. he had played an important role, and he was not a starter. He did what BC needed him to, though. And so Josiah Griffin has impressed during camp, has made plays. I think he could be someone you could be seeing come this fall. The other name that I keep bringing up is Sione Hala, a linebacker, defensive end, defensive back, who played a bunch at the end of last year and continues to make plays during camp. For instance, like yesterday on Sunday, they did. You were down by 7 and you had the ball at the 50-yard line with a minute left. Get the offense down into the end zone to score to win, to tie the game. Both offenses failed to do it. Thomas Castellanos failed because there was a penalty, and then he ran out of bounds short of the sticks, but there were no sticks, so it was hard for him to even see it. Grayson James also failed. He was much closer to the end zone than Castellanos was. And he failed because he got sacked by Sione Hala. I've seen Sione Hala make an interception. He's a playmaker. He's all over the field. And I know folks are really confused on, like, what position does he play? He's a linebacker. Now, could they use him as a strong safety? Sure, but every time I watch him, he's with the linebackers. So he's listed as a defensive back on the page, but he's a linebacker. With Bryce Steele, Bryce Steele's still coming back from serious health issues. I don't know what to expect from him this year. He's with the threes right now, and it could just be him easing himself into the grind of football again. But your linebackers right now, because he's kind of not there yet, and Jalen Blackwell's still out, is Cam Arnold, Bam Crouch. Those are your two starters. Then it's like Owen McGowan and Sione Hala. I think Sione Hala is a very violent, athletic player, and that's what you want at linebacker. So he needs to get out there. And I don't know how they're going to play him, but I like watching him play. He's a guy that's all over the field, and he's impressed me so far. So he and Josiah Griffin are two names I wanted to throw up as potential guys that could jump up. I don't expect Hala to jump over Bam Crouch. I mean, he could, but Crouch has had a good spring too, a summer too. So that's where that's at. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I've been fighting a cold all day. My voice is absolute garbage, and I hope you still enjoyed it. I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll preview the scrimmage. We'll talk about what to look for, all that good stuff. And then on Thursday, I'll tell you everything that happened at the scrimmage. So thank you for listening. Follow me at Twitter at AJBlack247. Hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you for listening to Locked On Boston College, your team every day.